So with me today is Dave Hanighen from Logix Federal Credit Union. Hello, Dave.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. So Dave, we've been talking about identity and access management and how it's become more and more meaningful for an organization like yours. Can you go a little more in depth into that?
Yeah, identity and access management is a pretty comprehensive project whereby you go throughout the organization and really identify what we call least privilege, which means you have only the privileges that you need for the access that you need to the applications, to the network, and to all the key resources. Smaller organizations tend to give access to everybody. That tends to be the easy way. And as you grow larger in size, as we are, we're up to about 7.4 billion in size. It becomes more important to make sure that you exercise that least privilege and make sure that you're controlling the access and the identities of the folks in your organization. And by the way, don't forget the contractors are included as well. So we have to make sure we manage those as well. This is a regulatory requirement for us to do. And it became an issue about a year ago. And the regulators came back this year and said, we really want to see you get this done. So we have implemented a project that will take about 2 years to complete to finish this effort.
Gotcha. And I mean, obviously, identity and access management is more than just identity and access management. It's a program, as you said. What are some of the challenges? Why would it take somebody like yourself 2 years to complete a project like this?
Yeah, the challenge really is going through the organization group by group. And we have about 20 some odd, 22 departments that we have to go through. We then have to look at every application that they have and then determine with their staff what are the privileges you need and which ones don't you need. And then going through the applications themselves to determine whether they have the controls to be able to do access management, or do we need to use a third-party product like an Okta, OKTA is product we're using today. So it's quite an extensive effort. It involves quite a few business units, and there's quite a bit of interplay between information security and the business unit in order to get the right access set up. And then for each department, you have to tuck that under an organizational policy for access management as well. So it's a pretty large effort.
Yeah, I'm aware of those kind of deployments, and you're absolutely right. And getting all of those discrete things defined within the organization,
Right.
Especially if you're being kind of tagged from a regulatory perspective, it's one of those things where you're like, this gets us, compliant, but does this allow us to launch ourselves to the next phase of how we're going to do business?
Yeah, no doubt about it. There's a compliance aspect, which I think is the first piece of the puzzle. And then the second and third is, now how do we leverage this to become more efficient as an organization in controlling identity and access management with a least privilege approach? And then there's several other aspects associated with making yourself more efficient. For instance, the introduction of biometrics. I implemented biometrics at a small bank that I was at a few years ago, and it was a game changer all the way around, not only from the help desk, but for the folks in the organization. No more passwords, which of course users love that. They think that's the greatest thing in the world. It just makes you more efficient, and it also makes your organization much more streamlined from an access perspective.
Yeah, I love that. When security does not have to be a barrier. Security can be an enabler to let folks work more productive. I mean, do you see this as giving you and Logix more leverage for cloud and other types of services that you may want to bring into the offering?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think access management, when you talk about an on-prem situation like we have now, it just simply translates beautifully into the cloud. A lot of the applications in the cloud today already have an access management component. So it's a natural progression to go from an on-prem where you get it all straightened out there and then carry it into the cloud. And we are making migrations to the cloud, not only for storage, but also for applications as well. This organization, excuse me, did not have a lot of cloud applications when I first got here about a year ago, but we're starting to make more of a migration in that direction.
Yeah, I can tell by your selection of the solution that you were talking about that, you have on-prem as well as cloud or multi-cloud type of scenarios that you can potentially work, so that, as folks are trying to decide on solutions like this, making sure that they're strategically acquiring, not just following that compliance mandate, but strategically acquiring those capabilities.
Right. We look at it as more than just compliance. We look at it as a real game changer for our organization in terms of, as I mentioned before, making our organization more efficient and being able to control at a department level. So the IT department doesn't have to control it organizationally, but each department can control their own access. and manage that. And I think that's a big, big plus, getting it out of IT and help desk and getting it into their hands.
Awesome. Well, Dave Hanighen from Logix Federal Credit Union, thanks for telling us a little bit about your story with identity and access management and how you're using it to become compliant from a regulatory perspective, but also enable your organization to go to the next level.
Well, thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. I've really enjoyed our conversation today.